Not muted.
Yes, and I don't think.
All right, we're recording.
We're recording, but everybody's not muted. So if you're not muted, if you're on a desktop, you can hover your mouse over the screen and you'll see the little microphone at the lower left corner, and you can mute yourself. And same on the phone. If you touch the phone, you'll see the little microphone come up and you'll mute yourself. So hopefully it'll be a clean recording, even though we didn't mute.
That's awesome. Okay, well, welcome everyone. We're so happy that you were invited by someone or that cares enough about you to share our Shred platform. And we're calling this Shred-U-Cation, coined by Kristin herself, which is great. We really love the Shred platform, and we're having a lot of success with it, with a lot of people from different walks of life. And I think that's what is so valuable about it, is that it's not a diet as much as it's a lifestyle change. And basically we're trying to shred habits that don't suit us and add in things that are really healthy for our bodies that we want to start making habits routinely in our day-to-day. So there's 3 phases. There's really shredding, which we do for 10 days. And then there's the live it phase after that. And we can explain a little bit more about what that means. But for the shred it phase, we eliminate and add in a lot of plant-based foods. And then the live it is really where the lifelong habits come into play. And we really are, excited about the live it phase, because we have a lot of shredders that say it's really easy for them to actually continue to shred after they've started shredding for 10 days. They want to continue it because they feel so good. So that's one thing that I love about the Shred too. And I've shred probably for the past year, I would say maybe 6 or 7 times. So I'm proof that it actually is fairly fluid in terms of doing it once a month and living that out. So, and then the 3rd phase is sharing it with others, because we really are about a healthy living revolution and trying to really engage other people in building in more healthy habits into their body. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is explain our elimination phase and the things that we're going to be eliminating for the shred. So the first one you can see is gluten. And why do we eliminate gluten? Well, gluten is really not easily digested by our bodies, and it actually is one of the top inflammatory foods. And really, when we take that out, we see that all of our organs have an easier time of detoxing. So it is on the list of things that we remove. It's highly processed, and that's another reason why it's hard for our bodies to digest it, because the enzymes are lacking in glutinous foods. Dairy also is one of the top 5 inflammatory foods. So this disrupts our pH balance in our bodies, and as well, gluten does too. So it creates a more acidic environment, which we really don't want in our bodies. We want to have a more base, alkaline, and acid level that's in balance. So we find a lot of the processed white foods and dairy and gluten disrupt that pH balance really fast, actually. I mean, and it doesn't take much dairy to actually upset that very quickly. So that's why those 2 are eliminated. And then caffeine and alcohol, you probably have a good grasp on the alcohol, but also caffeine is very acidic. So we're trying to eliminate things, again, that are disrupting that pH balance. So that may be one of the tougher areas we hear a lot. Do I really have to give up my caffeine? But and alcohol. But really, for our livers to appropriately function and detoxify our bodies, we're asking a lot when we're drinking a lot of caffeine and alcohol daily. It takes away from our processes in our organs to eliminate other toxins, and that can show in any of our organs, especially our skin. So that's why it's on our list of things to eliminate for the shred. And then processed foods and refined sugars kind of go hand in hand. if you think about a food, if it's in its original state that it's given to us, it can actually, there's enzymes in it that can break down and digest it better. So the more processing a food goes through and refining, we lose a lot of the nutrition that's in our foods and our ability to digest that nutrition and utilize it in our bodies. So if you think of an apple, the next phase might be cutting up apple slices. They start to oxidize and they lose nutrition as they oxidize. And then from there, if we're also turning it, say the next phase would be applesauce, that's going to take more nutrition away from it because of the enzymes that have broken down to digest the applesauce. So the further and further away you get from the real source of food, the less nutrition you have. And that's why we really are trying to eliminate both processed foods and refined sugars. The other thing with both of these is that they tend to make our blood sugar spike completely instead of having fiber. And the fiber is critical in a product because we really want that slow spike, which leaves us less cranky. You guys probably know that if you eat a lot of sugar, you're going to go on this roller coaster and escalate up, and then you're going to crash. So you don't hit that 2 p.m. slump in the day where everyone's trying to digest their food and they feel like sleeping on their computer at work or that they need a nap. So again, that's processed foods, refined sugars that just keep us on that complete sugar roller coaster throughout the day. So, and then eating after 6 p.m. is really, we say 6 or 7, I think Kristin would agree, at least like 3 hours before you're going to bed, because we'd like for your body to have time to digest and detoxify and rejuvenate, basically. And that's what we do when we're sleeping. And the later that you eat, the more you're taxing your body and all of your organs to have to work through that food. And it makes it a lot more difficult, and you wake up feeling groggy, actually. And that's one of the things I love from the Shred. It's actually helped me, and I try to really stick to the eating by 7. And we're a late family. We kind of get home from sports and things like that. So I know a lot of families have trouble eating by 6, but just basically keeping that in mind to try and give your body 3 hours before you go to bed to digest that. So those are the things that we eliminate in the Shred. And now Kristin's going to highlight the things that we actually add in, which is a lot of fun.
I get the fun part. You took away their safety blanket, and then
I know I did. We hit them hard right from the start.
Well, thanks, Lindsay. That was awesome, and a nice quick overview of why we eliminate all these things. And one thing I'll point out is that there is a Shred guidebook that comes along with this. And in that Shred guide, there's much more detail pinpointing all of the things that Lindsay highlighted that we talked about, the elimination thing. So we encourage you guys to check that out. And because the more you know, I feel like it's just validation as to why you should be, we're not just taking dairy and alcohol and gluten away from you because it's fun to torture you. There's reasons for it. And the more we know about it, the more we can validate sticking to it. So what I love about the Shred is that, first of all, I'll point out this is not a 10-day program. This is a lifestyle program with just a 10-day jumpstart. So the purpose of eliminating these things and the things that I'm going to talk to you about that we're going to add in is to teach you those habits that you should be living by. And, we realize that at the end of 10 days, you might want to have your morning coffee again, and you're going to want to have a cocktail or two on the weekends. But it's just learning how to reincorporate those things back in small amounts, and just, I guess having a little more control and learning how your body is affected by that and how that feels. So I'm going to do a screen share again and talk about the things that we are adding in so that I can show you guys these things real quick here, if everybody can see that. Okay, so when we do, you see here where it says add, we're adding more real food. So Lindsay talked about avoiding processed foods, and we really focus on the Shred. with eating just food in its whole form. Like, you know, Lindsay was talking about the apple and how it turns into applesauce. So we're focusing on eating the apple. We're focusing on eating, instead of eating refined grains like bread and crackers, we would rather that you're eating like whole grain brown rice and quinoa for your complex carbohydrates. And you know, if people ask, can I eat meat on the shred? And we do really focus on trying to flood the body with as much plant nutrition as possible, but you can eat animal protein on the shred if you want. We just encourage you to eat small amounts of that. And what I try to do, especially during a shred, is if I'm going to eat animal protein, I'll eat it like just once a day, and I'll have a small amount, like maybe a little bit at lunch, and then have, you know, a plant-based dinner, or vice versa. So it helps me keep that under control. And I notice I feel a lot better. My digestion's better. And then moving down the list, you notice that we really incorporate the Juice Plus products into the shred. And for me, I think that this is the key to making the shred successful. I'm going to show you, let's see. And is this, okay, we can see this slide now here with the plant foods here. So Juice Plus is plants in capsules and in the shakes. And the reason that this is important is just because when we're focusing on flooding the body with phytochemicals that we find in plant, compounds found in plants, our food supply is nutritionally depleted. The food that we are eating today is not as nutritionally dense as it was for our parents and grandparents. So trying to eat enough plants to help our bodies do what it's trying to do every day is just, it's impossible. It's difficult because I actually did a Facebook thing today, and I saw we need to eat 8 oranges to get the same nutrition that in 8 oranges that our grandparents ate in or got in 1 orange. And that's really just because of what we're doing to the planet. We're using pesticides and chemicals. We're growing crops faster, and we're not rotating them, and it's just depleting the soil that our crops are grown in. So just the increased toxicity on the planet and the pesticides that we're using on our foods, things that we're using in our environment, like the endocrine disruptors, like we're drinking water out of plastic bottles. We've got heavy metals that are being, like, they're just on the earth. They're being absorbed into the food. Our bodies have to try to get rid of all that stuff all the time. So, and on top of that, the food additives and preservatives and things that we do to foods when we are processing them is just making our food supply more toxic, and it's making it more difficult for our bodies to get rid of all that toxicity. So the liver is the brain of the digestive system. It's responsible for cleaning what we put into our bodies, and it helps us get rid of all the toxins. So what happens in our bodies is that the toxins enrobe themselves in fat to protect them. And when we flood our bodies with plant chemicals, it helps our bodies to flood out the toxins. And then what happens is all that fat comes out with it. So the more we can flood our bodies with plants, the more fat we're going to shed. So it's helping our bodies, you know, do 2 things: get rid of fat and get rid of toxins. So since we can't get enough just from the food that we eat alone, we are supplementing with the Juice Plus products. So the food that is in Juice Plus, and it does have a nutrition label, so it's recognized as food. In the capsules alone, you're looking at a variety of 30 different plants, and the shakes have another, 15 to 17 servings of plants in the shakes.
And that picture is not showing, just so
no,
it's still on the guideline picture.
Okay, thank you for telling me.
Yeah, I just wanted you to know that.
Thank you. I do not know why. Whoops. Let me see. Unless, let me try to stop the screen share and start it over. I just wanted everybody to see the
there it is. Yep.
Okay. I wanted you guys to be able to see the different plants that were in the products that we're talking about. So this is, like I said, this is the key to me, because we just can't eat this much alone on our own. So if we use this product to help, it's just helping aid our bodies in the detox process that we want to get from the shred. So, and you notice all of these plants, like what we're learning about in science and researching these plants and the phytochemicals in here, is that all the different colors have different plant compounds in them. So all of these work together synergistically to help aid our bodies in this detox process. So I think that, like I said, these products are the key to what's making this work. You could simply just try to do like the food part and the diet part and not eating after 6 and sleeping and exercising, and that certainly is good for you. It's not going to hurt you. But to get the most benefit and to really help your body for the 10 days and beyond, the products are the key to the shape, or to making a successful shred. And I will talk really quickly about the shakes. I love that the shakes are part of this because it just helps us when we're removing so much stuff from the body, like the processed foods and the sugar. I think when we remove that stuff, and then the alcohol and caffeine, it creates cravings. So these shakes, because they're so low glycemic, they really help balance all those cravings, because it's like just balances the blood sugar, helps with the willpower. And it's something that, you know, even if it's later at night and you're craving something or you're legitimately hungry, you can have a shake later. So we're not asking you to starve. We're asking you to replace and flood in some better stuff. So I will point out that Juice Plus has over 35 peer-reviewed studies to show that it is being absorbed by the body, so it's bioavailable. That is key to me. Like, I wouldn't recommend anybody take anything if I didn't know that it was actually being absorbed. So I think that is awesome. I'm trying to find my little control thing here so I can unshare the screen. Actually, I'm just going to move on because the next thing that we were focusing on was, wonder if that shows up if I do that. The next thing that we were focusing on for our shred was that we want to make sure we're drinking plenty of water. Lots of reasons for this. It basically just helps flush out the toxins, rehydrates the skin, revitalizes the organs, will help aid in food cravings, aid in digestion. When you're adding so much plant nutrition to your body, we notice some people get a little gassy, a little detoxy. That's all normal, but the water will help with that. And we really do. We're focusing on sleeping 7 to 8 hours a night. And this is almost a no-brainer to me, because I think when Lindsay pointed out that we're eating earlier and not snacking, the sleep part kind of happens naturally during a shred. Like, I think most people say that they're sleeping so much better, and it's in part because they're not eating and drinking later on in the evening. So it's allowing your liver to do what it's supposed to do and just rest and replenish and detox while we're sleeping, instead of digesting food and alcohol and everything else that we put in it before we went to bed. So so that just happens naturally. So the exercise part of the shred, I think I always tell people, start where you're at and just try to take it a little bit further. If you're a runner, maybe try to run a little further or a little faster. If you're not used to exercise at all, maybe just start with taking a yoga class or just walking 30 minutes a day. I think and most people that are regular exercisers find during the shred that they are recovering faster. They're able to push themselves a little harder. So that's a wonderful benefit. But I think if anything, the exercise probably during day 2 or 3, when people are starting, because you have that little bit of a detox feeling a couple days in, I usually take that day off, day 2 or 3 from exercise during the shred, just because I don't feel super energetic because my body's detoxing. So I give myself concession to take the day off. So I guess in closing, what I will say, like Lindsay had mentioned, she's done the shred a few times too over the last year. We started doing these last summer. I've done it myself a handful of times. I'm always amazed at how good I feel and how each time I do the shred, the habits that we incorporate start to become more of those, the things that we try to teach become more of habits to me. So it's made me more self-aware of what I'm doing and feeding my family, and, you know, just making those little changes become the norm and become, you know, where it's not such a big hurdle anymore. But I will point out too that during our shred, we have an amazing shred support page, and Lindsay and I are very active in leading that page and making sure that everybody on there has a lot of guidance and a ton of education. I love our shred page. I think it's awesome. It's something I'm really proud of. And you'll also get daily support from the person that invited you to do the shred. I know when I'm doing a shred or I have a group of people that are doing it, I reach out to them every day and just, you know, how you doing? What do you need? How you feeling? So you've got a ton of support there and a ton of support in the Facebook, like just the whole community. It's not just Lindsay and I leading it, but there's a lot of encouragement, recipe posting, and all that stuff going on in there that just really helps bring people together. We're building a really fun community of people. So if you're interested in doing the shred, talk to the person that invited you to this event or shared this video with you. And I would encourage you to get any product orders in by the weekend so that you have the products, the Juice Plus shakes and capsules, in time to start with our group that will begin on Monday, August 7th. And aside from that, we do have group shreds that go, that start once a month, every month, usually the first Monday of the month, but not always. If it overlaps with a holiday or something that we thought would conflict with. So I think that is, did I miss anything, Lindsay? Is there anything else I need to share?
No, I think you covered it really well. And I was going to say something about the community, but you covered that too. And I love our community. I feel like everyone supports one another. It's not just the health coaches. We have 5 health coaches on the page that are contributing. Actually 6, I think, between Susan Huvis and Jan. You, me, Heidi, Sharon, and who am I forgetting? Anyone else?
Probably. There's probably more.
There may be one more. But yeah, I just love our community. And I love hearing the cheering section of that when people have a rough day and they can express that on there, and people are like, oh, just shake it off, start fresh. And not only that, but just hearing the successes that people have and the life changes that they're instilling and habits that they love. And that's the other thing I was thinking, things that I never thought I would be able to give up, I easily don't grab for anymore because they make me feel horrible. And I think once you realize that and detoxify your body, you're going to start building stronger habits towards healthier options and choices. And that's going to impact the whole family, because my whole family loves to shred now. So
And that's great to point out too, because when I shred, the dinners I make for my family are things that we can all eat. So it's not some difficult thing where you have to do one thing for you and something, you're not jumping through hoops to take care of your family. It's definitely, my family doesn't even know when we're shredding. We're just doing it.
And actually the shred is safe for everybody, children, babies, pregnant women, all walks. So that's another thing. Some diets, like the keto diet that's out there, is definitely not built for everyone.
Right. Lots of diets are not. I don't think I mentioned the cookbook either. I mentioned the shred guide at the beginning, but there is an awesome cookbook that we share with people when they join the shred. And just, gosh, what is it, 70 pages. It's really chock full of great recipes. And lots of people wonder, what can I eat and where do I start? And so we've got solutions for that too. So
great.
Yes.
The section is awesome.
Yes. I love it. Well, thank you guys so much. And thank you, Lindsay, for doing this with me. And we'll be sure to post the recording and share it with, that way you guys can share it with anybody that wasn't able to be on. So
yeah, and thanks for everyone's time tonight. We've really enjoyed having everyone on.
Hope to see some new shredding faces. Thanks, guys.
Night.